Hi there. This is. What do you see? What do you see? Look around here. What do you see? But I am here doing this walkabout. You know, as I said, when you look around here on our ecosystem, what you can see, all you can see there, this various rocks, and then you look on the ground, you see conch shells, you see moss, and different things. But tide is low right now, and this is Wentworth B. Manson. This is Blueprint Narration podcast. Because, we are a university within. And, sometimes I like to, when you normally see me here, I would just like to move away from the camera. Now I am working in a different angle. Normally I used to be in the front of the camera, but now I'm behind the camera at this point doing a selfie. But now I'm experimenting, and I want you to experiment too, because now 2026 is coming in, and I want you now to do your research now. Time to move. And so when you move and you do your own research, doing your own research, now it's time to make some money now. Time to make some money, time to do some stuff. And so get your camera. This is I got a simple Samsung A14 camera, right? And now I will move around so that you can get a better view of what I'm looking at as I'm walking around here doing this research. Now, of course, when you're walking on doing research, when you're walking around the seashore, boy, you must be very careful, because wear a boots here. I have my boots on, so I like to walk around here, and then I'm using a cordless mic. A So what I would do, instead of walking on this, because if you slip and you fall down on these slippery rocks, you could get hurt bad. So what I will try to do, I'll try to walk along the coastal areas where it's more a lower sand flat. Now, next thing is important. When you're walking around seashore, you gotta be careful. Another thing you gotta be careful of. There are portions of the land close to the shore that normally be like a more quicksand. So you gotta be careful of those areas too. Because if you walk on them areas, they will not see you anymore. So the best thing to do is walk where you see rocks are. Like, for example, this portion here. You see this portion here? You see the various sand and everything. So this now giving you a better area. So you got to be careful where you're walking, because it plays a very important part in the ecosystem. And so, as you can see here, when you look on that other side over there, that's the next part of the university. You need to come here, man. When you come here, you'll be able to get a better view. Now, of course, you see some little boats and different things. Some places them use these areas them for their little fish thing, because the water table around here is low. And so, but I love to just walk around and do my research, because it is very important. But as I said again, I want you to have a better understanding. Like I said, it's just for 2026 coming in. I'm just doing a little walk about so that you can get a better understanding of our ecosystem. So when you come here, I will give you a tour. I will give you a great lecture on how land is being built. I give you all that information. Like I like to call it, I have a called climate change recipe course. It's a recipe just like baking. Once you know the formula of baking, what's the most important ingredients in baking? Well, some people say that the eggs are the most important thing. Well, you could bake without eggs. You could bake without a lot of things. Of course, you need some kind of liquid, but the most important thing that you need is what? Flour. Flour is the most important thing in baking. And so the same thing happens here. So when you understand that process, that's the same thing of climate change. Climate change is a baking process. Once you know how to bake, and you know the recipe of baking, the same process is in climate change. But like I said, now that's a process of how that is done, and I can give you a view of all of that. So it's important to come and learn about it. And as I'm saying, as I'm walking along this coastal shore, as you see, tide, as I said, the tide is low right now. And then you see a lot of different things growing up through the sun. But it's important. This got a lot of, in this ecosystem here, it's got a lot of important benefits. And like I said, this is my job. I was born to do this work. When I first came to Andros, I didn't understand anything about this work. But by doing a lot of research and doing constantly walking back and forth, and this next thing is important, this is for the marine scientists out there, because you get to find a lot of things, right? And so, I see so much treasures here right now. You know, you have to have an eye to see, to know what you're looking at. If you don't know what you're looking at, you don't see anything. But it's important. And so, as I said, I love to do this research, and my name is Wentworth B. Manson. I'm your host. I know, oh man, this is so rich. This is so rich right here. Oh man, I see so much things out here right now. Of course, you know, we got a red mangroves. You see those red mangroves roots there, and everything up there. They all play a very important part in the ecosystem. And so again, I would like for you to sign up the course, man. At the bottom, as the climate change course, then I have an next course called global warming bread baking course, and that's another important. That's another important aspect of it. So you can get to see so much information here, so much information. As I'm walking along this area, I see so much things that I'm looking at and saying how, man, you know, when I listen to, like I said, let me come around so you can look at me again. When I look at and listen to about how the scientists or how the geologists, the evolutionists talk about land, about how land came to be, and they like to talk of billions and billions of years. Yes, it has a formula of billions and billions of years, right? But then what was done yesterday is also done today. But now, it's the process now, how you understand that. I listen to all of their process of how they talk about stones and rocks and so forth. When I talk with my AI, me and him is a big argument, because he thinks he's smarter than me. I always say to him, boy, you ain't smart me. You may have more memory than me. But when it comes to understanding things, because what? You had knowledge from me. He get knowledge from what? He get knowledge from his engineers, because they always say to me, well, my engineers did this, my engineers told me this, and so forth, and so on. But what I do my real work. And it's important that, hey, once you know what to look for, and you know to understand, and that's why I want you to come get this course. You will learn a lot. Like I said, no, YouTube don't pay me. YouTube don't pay me, and I give this knowledge what I normally give to you. It's free. Most of it is free, right? But then if you get it for free, you can believe that it's value nothing. But I want you to come. And when you come to the course, you'll be able to learn much more about your environment. You learn many things. As you can see, all that clouds in the back of me. You see all this water in the back of me. You see this beautiful water. I like to come out of the view. But I want you to see a lot of things, man. Look at there. You know, Andros, we got the third largest barrier reef, as you can see here. Look at this. All this here, that you can see here. Man, this got so many wonderful treasures in here. Like I said, there are many things I want to show you, but I cannot say it. If I say it for free, then the other guys who are listening, they can get it for free, right? So I want you to come over, and I will show you many things. Sometimes, you know, when we look at it, for example, we talk about sponge. You know, we talk about a lot of things with sponge. You know, I talk about sponge and so forth. I can show you how sponge, like I said, they normally sponge, what create a sponge, how this formula of sponge, how that is done. I can give you all that information of how sponge comes. Normally you see people get sponge where they will take the sponge and they will go and they'll make the various products. Like I said, back in the early days, they had the Greeks used to buy a lot of sponge from the local vendors here in Andros. And then eventually, over the course of time, I think the hurricane in 1929, I think that killed a lot of the sponging industry in the Bahamas, especially in Andros. But now I get to find out how sponge is created. Who builds sponge? I can tell you all that. I can show you from the start. I can show you black sponge. And I can tell you how the different sponges are built and what they are for. That's the most important. I tell you what they're for. So again, like, subscribe, and share. This is Blueprint Language Creation Podcast with your prophetic professor and lecturer, Grantway B. Manson. Come, see you in the next episode.